In your opinion, or in light of what we're seeing right now, what could he have done differently?
Well, put it this way, one thing that is clear is that, and this is quite simple really, is the question he should have asked immediately was that, how come we continuously have excess liquidity? Excess liquidity means surplus cash. From the day one, he should have asked himself that question. Why do we have surplus cash which cannot be used for development, which cannot be used or accessed by the real sector? Which, in spite of having the surplus cash, we have a situation where central bank itself helps to create that excess liquidity that ripples into high interest rates and high rates of inflation, and with the disastrous effects this had on the rate of unemployment and also on level of social welfare. So the first question you should have asked is, why is it that governments before me have been fighting and battling with excess liquidity? And then you say, but how can you have excess liquidity or surplus cash at a time that we don't have money to build hospitals, build roads, build schools, etc., etc., etc.? The process of that exercise would lead him to say, what causes excess liquidity? What causes the surplus cash? Why is it that I, central bank, have to go back into the market, borrow money I don't need for 12, 13%, and keep the money under the locker or in accounting records? You know, if you don't ask these basic questions the moment you take up the job, you are going to, of course, go astray. And this is exactly what happened, because all through the period that he was governor, and indeed the period before him, excess liquidity has, surplus cash has always been a problem. So what is the cause of the surplus cash? And it will become evident that the surplus cash becomes available every time the CBN captures the dollar revenue of the country and liberally prints, creates, and substitutes naira. That is where the excess liquidity comes from. Once you tackle the Nigerian economic problem from that perspective, you would find that the system would automatically almost run itself without any control. But Mr. Sanusi was not interested in this. I will give you an example of what I think was abysmal abuse of whatever office. You recall that the last time Mr. President went to China, he went and borrowed $1.5 billion in order to be able to remediate some of our infrastructural deprivations. Okay? But at the same time, in his entourage was the governor of the central bank. Mind you, the president could not have gotten his loan for possibly less than 6 or 7%, okay? But the central bank governor who was in his entourage, and don't forget the central bank belongs to Nigeria, he also went to China. And they asked him, what was he there for? He said he was looking for ways of investing Nigeria's foreign reserves. And you know, in the international market, you can hardly get 2, 3% or 4% if you're lucky. So what was stopping the Chinese from borrowing from central bank governor, the reserves that central bank governor claimed to have, and lend to the Nigerian government at 7%? What would happen if you had, for example, a situation where you recognize that the poorer we become, the richer is the central bank? Have you ever considered, for example, that we are going borrowing whenever we have a deficit? Let's don't talk about whether the deficit is real or gross, but whenever we have a deficit, we have to go and borrow at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15%. Meanwhile, an agency of the government below the federal government itself has a reserve of $40 billion, which it can spend in whatever way, but cannot be appropriated. These are all inconsistencies in monetary policy and management. So you must look at this thing from the source. What creates the excess liquidity and what induces the ripples afterwards?
Mr. Nobu, let's get your thoughts on this.
Honestly, I agree with him there, but let me correct an issue, because what you have just said is true. Excess liquidity in the system is not being tackled at all. And like you said, I was so disturbed when the president was borrowing from the Chinese market, whereas our central bank governor told the world that we have excess reserves. It doesn't. Okay, if you tell me that, if you tell me you have 100,000 naira on you now, and I said, okay, well, he said, I've not need. In fact, like when Gowon came, the problem with Nigeria is that we don't know what to do with the money we have. They give it to me. In fact, that time we are dating our money at negative interest rate. And once I get it, I come back to you. I want you to develop Owena Dam.
Basin.
And then I give you the money at 5%. It doesn't make sense. That's what we've been suffering. But let me say this also to correct the impression I've got from my phone since yesterday. The journalists, the media people are asking us, are you not sure it's because he said 20 billion was missing? That's why it's being removed. And I want to say, no, it is not. I don't think the government will just remove, somebody is blameless, we want to remove him because he said that. In fact, it's a good thing for us to know how we have been ripped off by various organizations. And the fact that he has said it and is suspended from office should not stop that particular thing being investigated. And I'm also, I have problem with so many of the organizations. I have been caught with several of them of what to do their job. And you are getting forensic auditors. You are going to pay billions to these people. And the Senate and House Assembly say they are doing that. In fact, some of the things they do shows they are not serious about addressing the issue of our economy. I would think that all you need maybe about what we call public interest lawyers. Get the High Court and all that. Let them go and look at some of these things. It will take them 1 month to come up with an issue. But when this thing come out, we keep it under the table and business goes on as usual. So let us be sincere with ourselves, tell ourselves the truth about this economy, and once we do that, Nigerians are so good, so many good people, easy to rule, but we keep creating problems for them not to obey the laws that we have.
Well, the Minister of Finance has said that there will continue to be a further tightening of monetary policies to guarantee a robust economy. In light of what we are seeing right now, is this what the economy needs, a further tightening of monetary policies?
Yeah, because they are talking of excess liquidity that he has addressed so much, but they did not tell us how you are going to do that. So I'll be able to comment that this procedure is right. They just make this open statements without telling us how you are going to do it. That's not right. I think it is good. Let me tell you, a lot of you said yesterday, Sanusi was saying that he stabilized the foreign exchange market. We said no, because today, before October or so, the exchange rate of the naira to dollar was 150 naira to $1, right? Now they came up with a policy to say that, most of our people in diaspora, they send in so much money. If you see the American statistics of how much money leaves the US to Nigeria, so much. And when it comes, they go to the bank, their parents will go there, they give them dollar, and they're happy carrying the dollar home. Now, at that rate, there's dollar supply, rate will be stable. But when the central bank said, look, if you bring dollar, we will give you at 157.3, and they'll give you naira. Most people now, that source dried up. And when it dried up, what happened? Naira dollar exchange rate went from 170 naira to $1, from 150. Look at the percentage increase. And when that happened also, we started shouting. Honestly, I don't know. Our monetary policy management, who regulates the regulator, but we need to know the facts.
Well, gentlemen, this conversation definitely doesn't end here. We're still going to have it again. We're fast spent for time, but thank you so much for coming on the program. Mr. Okechukwu Onegbu is the past president of Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, and Mr. Henry Boyo is an economic analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in this morning.
Thank you.